I'm not gonna lie, finding more powerful Rangers who stand out among the rest was a rather difficult task, but here I am to present you with part 3 of the top 10 most powerful Power Rangers from the comics. I'm Adam Andrews, this is Top 10 Nerd. Let me know your favorite Power Rangers theme song, and let's dive in, shall we? Coming in at number 10 is Carter Grayson. Grayson? Yes, but no relation to Nightwing, don't worry. No, Carter Grayson was Mariner Bay's best firefighter, saving people and for some reason using his awesome martial arts before he even became the Red Lightspeed Rescue Ranger. He is incredibly practical, using whatever tools he has on hand to do the job, like when he drove the Lightspeed Rescue Rover into battle crushing a monster. He's clearly very capable as well, as he has only ever resorted to using his battleizer 3 times in total in the show. In the comics, during Shattered Grid, he was the only one of the LSR Rangers to survive Dracon's attack, and he teamed up with Jen Scott's Kimberly Hart and the other surviving Solar Rangers, doing their best to help bring the fight back to Dracon, eventually resulting in the rewriting of reality. But he didn't really have anything to do with that, he just fought Dracon's forces on the moon alongside the other Rangers, which is still cool. Number 9, Robert James. RJ has the honor of being the very first Purple Ranger, and he was also the very laid-back mentor to the Power Rangers Jungle Fury. He learned a technique known as the swoop technique, which is fun to say, but also gave him the curious ability to fight blind. But he also had an incredibly powerful bond with the Wolf Animal Spirit, the Violet Wolf Ranger Zord and the Wolf Pride Megazord. With the Spirit, he can perform the Wolf Beam and the Energy Strike attacks using dark purple energy to attack his enemies. The Energy Strike was able to take down Camille with 1 hit. Now, while he isn't really the leader of the Ranger team, he gives a great level of support to the team, and he is their mentor. When Lord Dracon attacked Jungle Karma Pizza, RJ was rescued by Jen Scotts and Kimberly Hart and uses his wolf animal spirit in the fight that took place on the moon of the world of the Coinless, combining his animal spirit with other Zords. In at number 8 is Trey of Triforia. Trey here is the first Gold Ranger introduced in Power Rangers Zeo. He uses his Zord, Pyramidus, which can fly into space and can shoot these sweet golden lightning bolts. And by combining with the Zeo Megazord and the Red Battle Zord, he can create the Zeo Ultra Zord, which is the most powerful Zord in Rangers Zeo. He weirdly even gets split into 3 at one point: Trey of Courage, Trey of Heart, and Trey of Wisdom. It's weird. In the comics though, he rallies to the call of Zordon with a bunch of other Rangers to make a stand against Lord Dracon and has his Morpher upgraded by Dr. K. Trey also wields the Golden Power Staff, which could fire energy attacks, and every time he used it, he'd be like, "It's time for a gold rush," which is both hilarious and I kinda love it. I kinda support that. Good job. If you guys are loving this Power Ranger content, like it seems you are, then let us know by dropping a like or even subscribing here at Top 10 Nerd. But in at number 7 is Antoni0 Garcia, the Gold Samurai Ranger, making him the 6th Ranger on that team. Antonio, like other 6th Rangers, is arguably the strongest Ranger on the team. He controls the element of light, which allows him to move just as fast as it, so that's pretty damn powerful right there, able to attack multiple enemies while looking like he hadn't even moved at all. His Zord, the Light Zord, is honestly a little silly looking because it's a lantern. But it's still powerful, and he has also been in possession of the Octozord, which is actually a squid, and the Claw Zord, which is actually a lobster. There's a lot of weird, fishy, underwater themed stuff with this guy, as he also has the Barracuda Blade, the Barracuda Bite, and razor-sharp Barracudas that he would just throw at people during battles. I don't know. I actually have no idea why there's fish-related stuff here. I don't know. I'll never know, but he is really capable with it, so we can't really complain here. When Lord Dracon attacks the Samurai Rangers, Antonio is actually very capable and takes down some of the Ranger sentries really easily. He only gets defeated because he jumps in to save Mia, but he is only depowered and captured. We don't actually know what happens to him after that. Number 6, Yale Of Saard. Okay, honestly, I had no idea that a feline could be a Power Ranger, but I am so glad that they can. This is awesome. Okay, so Yale is a cat-like alien from the planet of Saard. Yale was originally the runt of the litter, which actually allowed him to survive when the rest of his family did not. Yale became empowered by the Morphin Grid, which inadvertently caused a massive explosion and had the Omega Rangers arrive on Saard to apprehend the big old cat. And he is a big old cat. He's like yay high and he's huge. What's interesting is that Yale actually proved to be too strong for these already incredibly powerful Omega Rangers. Yale was eventually depowered and became like a pet for the Omega Rangers, living on their ship with them and eventually saving the leader Zack from the Horde. But eventually, Yale comes into contact with the Blue Omega Morpher thanks to a mysterious figure, the Blue Emissary. And man, Yale is such a cool looking Blue Omega Ranger. His strength and forgiveness make him an excellent addition to the Omega team, but also he's a big old cat, and that's adorable and also terrifying. Number 5, it's Jen Scotts. Jen Scotts was the leader of the Time Force Rangers for most of their time in the show. She has knowledge of the future, being from the year 3000, and as a member of the Time Force Police, she helped to stop virtually all crime. She is one of the only Pink Rangers that leads a Ranger team, so we know she is powerful based off of that fact alone. But we add into that the fact that the team she leads is all about time and traveling through time, and that just kind of amps everything up just a little bit. In the really cool comic Sins of the Future, she does battle against the Black Time Force Ranger and is even confronted by members of her own Ranger team, who she takes down pretty easily. That story is really cool, but then there is the Shattered Grid timeline. Jen is able to survive a crack in space-time and then flies through space and time to land in the present to help Kimberly Hart battle and actually drive away Lord Drakon, one of the most powerful Rangers ever. And she was instrumental in restoring reality back to the way it's supposed to be. And then, in the really cool Power Rangers Pink story, Jen, alongside all the other Pink Rangers, are summoned by Kimberly Hart, and they defeat Sledge, Ransik, Trakina, Void Queen, and Black Lion Warrior all at the same time. Number 4, Cassie Chan. The Pink Ranger of the Power Rangers Turbo. She saved the old Pink Ranger and Tommy Oliver himself before she even became a Ranger. And then, when she took the Pink Ranger spot from Catherine Hillard, Cassie became one of the most powerful Rangers ever. She was fully committed to her duties as a Ranger, even going out into space after losing her Ranger powers to fight against Divatox, which eventually led to her becoming the Pink Ranger for the Space Rangers, and then the Lost Galaxy Rangers, helping them do battle against the Psycho Rangers. Despite her insane fighting skills and drive, she was actually defeated by Lord Drakon during Shattered Grid, and when reality was restored, she did join up with the other Pink Rangers, including Jen Scott, in that Power Rangers Pink story I talked about before. Only, Cassie did way more, using her Astro Blaster and Satellite Stunner to seriously kick some butt. And at number 3, Trini Kwan. Trini Kwan, for those who don't know, was the original Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger, and just like every other Ranger on that team, she was awesome. She was in possession of the Saber-Tooth Tiger Power Coin and the Saber-Tooth Dinosaur, not to mention the Griffin Thunderzord. But she even got to use the really cool Dragon Armor by modifying her Morpher. But that's just in the show. In the comics, Trini would go on to become the Omega Yellow Ranger after the events of Shattered Grid, recruited by the Blue Emissary of the Morphin Masters. But then, when Jason Lee Scott loses his connection to the Red Omega Ranger, Trini actually takes over as the new Red Omega Ranger, and while that doesn't technically come with a power boost, it does come with some serious bragging rights. At least, in my mind it does. She eventually loses her standing as a Ranger, but is repowered by the Sword of Light to become the all-new Yellow Ranger. And in at number 2 is Zack Taylor. Just like Trini, Zack Taylor was also a member of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He was the first Black Ranger, and he is actually second in command to Jason Lee Scott. Or, I mean, he was until Tommy Oliver came back as the White Ranger. Thanks, Tommy. Where Trini was the Saber-Tooth Tiger, Zack here has the Mastodon Power Coin and the Mastodon Dinosaur. Dinozord and also has access to the Lion Thunderzord. Similar to Trini, Zack also joined on as an Omega Ranger, the Omega Black Ranger, but before that ever happened in the world of the Coinless, Zack was the leader of the Coinless themselves, who were a resistance group fighting against Lord Drakkon. After being captured and escaping with the help of his allies, Zack reunited with the Zack, Trini, and Billy of the main universe and rescued Ninjor from Lord Drakkon, but he sacrifices himself to save his younger Prime Universe self. I hope that wasn't too confusing. It was kind of confusing to say it. But in at number 1 is Ninjor. I actually don't know if this one counts as a ranger. Ninjor is the creator of the power coins, which, as you can imagine, does indeed make him pretty OP. He wasn't even known to be real, thought only to be a myth, because Zordon just stumbled on the power coins that this powerful ninja sage created. Ninjor, while more of a sage and creator, could easily overwhelm Goldar and Catastrophe in battle, withstanding so many different attacks. He could turn into a giant puff of smoke, and he could also transform into a giant Megazord-like form at will. He could summon and fire lightning, and then on top of that, he had this huge katana, and katanas are always cool. In the split history of the comics though, Ninjor is imprisoned by Lord Drakkon to restore his Morpher and Power Coin, and to help Drakkon gain more Ranger powers before Ninjor was actually rescued by the Rangers. He then went on to help them in their fight against Rita Repulsa and Lord Drakkon, creating the White Ranger powers. He built Saba, the White Tiger Zord, and the Falcon Zord. But that's all I've got. Let me know if you hate or love this list down below, and I'll catch y'all on the flippy flop. Peace out, nerds.